Hey crafty friends, welcome to a very long video. This is a design team project for Dreamz, etc. And it really morphed. This is a 3 signature, very roly-poly, very big fatty journal. And it is my first soft cover journal. What I actually used was, I started out with a placemat and a table runner, and then I just built on that. But I had found this image and decided this would be my cover. And I did a mixture of movie themed as well as real photos and ephemera that I added to the Dreamz, etc. Vintage Voyage collection. And I will link you to the Vintage Voyage collection and the ephemera digital kits that are in the Etsy store. I did find out, just in case, I know a couple of you saw this on Junk Journal Junkies yesterday, and we're like, I can't find the Vintage Voyage kit. Well, she has more kits on her Etsy store than she does in her web store, so be sure to check out the Etsy store. I will link both in the description box down below. I also added some of her vintage, I think it's Vintage Love Story. I'll link everything in the description box. But I mixed some of that in as well, along with some other digital papers I had in my stash and lots of things that I found on the internet. So you can see this piece back here. This is the table runner. And when we open it up, you'll see the placemat that I used. But I just, what's funny is the base of this photo area is the parts of the placemat that I had to cut off. So you can use tons of scraps and all kinds of things in these junk journals. So, I mean, what do I say? There's a huge doily in the back that I covered up. You know, I did coffee dye a lot of the laces, but some of it I left a la natural because I like that mixture of colors. This right here was a vintage lace already, but I did coffee dye it in its little hearts. There's some up here. And then this is just some pretty bead trim from my stash and some beautiful vintage looking charms. I coffee dyed these, like you can't tell those are coffee dyed. These little applique flowers. And then all along here, these beautiful applique roses. And I just used, I don't know what you call this. I don't know. It's like a muslin trim. I'm not sure. And then I have this fringe lace in my stash. I have a little bit of these rosettes left, but they look very shabby. You know what? I kind of wish I had coffee dyed this top one. And then this is the back side where you can actually see the giant doily that I used. And then when I go and I open it up, we're going to do a different view. Well, let me open it up real quick, and then I'll show from the other view when I'm showing everything. So those two just tie, and then it opens up like that. That's actually the center of the second, or the middle signature. But super, super excited about this, super happy, and I'll be back to show you from above. I think we can get a good view from here without having to move the book around. All right, let's go back and show you that this is the start of the book. I did some coffee dyeing, layering. I have this beautiful applique and this tuck spot for, you know, I just, this book got so thick. I didn't put anything there, but I have these beautiful charms, and these are all, except for this one, all of these top ones and the pin are from Craft Fantastic, in case you want to know. This is just one I had picked up at Michael's. All right, as I said, this is going to be a long video, so hope you have a cup of tea or coffee, and let's go. So again, I found a lot of images on the internet. This is the placemat back here that I used. Coffee dyed this lace, and this lace, there's a lace right here. Oh, you can't see it. Right here. And then I added this fringe trim. So let's talk about Rose. This is, yeah, I tried to get this in proper order of the movie, but I think I may have messed up a little bit. The word rose is from a rose sachet packet I had picked up at Tuesday morning, and that will come into play a little further back in the journal, but I cut it out of the front of the sachet. So you're going to see doilies and lace, and here I have, this is another Craft Fantastic, and Craft Fantastic right here. All right, so then this opens up, and we've got this glassine bag, and it's got the White Star Line boarding pass, permission granted to come aboard, and then this pulls out, and it's just a little coffee stained little journaling area. I'm not going to remember, guys, everything that's from the Vintage Voyage collection, but I will point out when I do remember. And this is one of the papers. So I just added little snippets of lace throughout. So this is the next page, and I found this on the internet. It says the new White Star Liner Titanic is the largest vessel in the world. So it's kind of like an advertisement. And then for soap, actually, I think it's the soap that they used. This pulls out, this is one of the ephemera for the collection. I coffee dyed that. It says White Star Line at the top, and then the picture of Titanic. So this is something that you get in the ephemera collection from Dreamz, etc. This is a Tim Holtz. This is Journey, and I literally, because these are kind of like laminated, I literally soaked these in coffee all day while I was gone to work. And then I added this key. So that tucks in there. This is from the Love Story, Vintage Love Story collection. So beautiful. And we turn the page, and we've got this little music note pocket. This is from the collection from Dreamz, etc. And I believe this one is too. And I just popped that on top of, this is Vintage Love Story. And then these two ladies are actually ladies that were on the ship. And my printer was doing that funky thing again, but I just love how, I don't know, to me it makes it look more vintage. I added a corner piece and a journaling spot. And then just more coffee stained papers. This burlap piece back here is what was from this table runner. So I just used those scraps as well. And here we have a picture of the ship and people waiting to get on. This is the Tim Holtz, and then I just made a little booklet. I did sew all the little booklets, and I did sew the signatures into the fabric. So we turn the page, and there's another picture of Rose in that beautiful dress when she boarded the ship. And I have just this little journaling booklet and this bulb pen and a little camera and then a vintage lady. This is something I got from Leonie so many years ago when we did our swap. So this is just regular coffee dyed paper. And you know what, guys, I hear a lot of people apologize for super long videos. If I'm into a project, I want it to go on forever. So I hope that you're just interested in what's going on the next page. So here's Molly Brown. And we actually have the Molly Brown house, literally like 5 minutes from our house. I've never been there, but I want to, especially now that I've done this journal. So maybe I'll do a video from there on my vlog. So just layered some laces and trims. This folds up and this folds out like that. This is the Vintage Love Story. Little rosette trim and some coffee dyed lace. This is Rose. This is actually the actress, Kate Winslet. I guess they did like a vintage portrait of her. So that's her. A doily and some of this pretty beautiful trim I got from Hobby Lobby during their super sale. Did I put anything in there? I did not. So you can put whatever you want in there. These two, this is the center of our first signature. These two are from the ephemera tag collection for the Vintage Voyage. And I wanted to put this coffee dyed lace down the center. Here's your, your little pieces from the sewn signature. I am not a good sewer. And so some of my stitching was a little crooked. So I just added this piece of lace and covered it up. So then it doesn't matter. Over here, I have a little bit of lace, and I made another little booklet, and I tucked it into this other half of this glassine pocket. I added some corner pieces and the white star line, and it's just a journal booklet. Some smaller pages in here. And then another Tim Holtz. This is really kind of cool. I found this online. Information for passengers. Breakfast from 8 until 10 o'clock. Lunch at 1 p.m. Dinner at 7 o'clock. And then there's all kinds of information. Wireless telegrams, baggage questions, deck chairs, steamer rugs, exchange of money, and all the information. So down here I have a little bulb pin and a little grandfather clock. And then this pulls out. London Herald, Titanic sinks, great loss of life. Uh-oh. There we go. And that slides back in. Gorgeous paper from the Vintage Love Story. And then this is an ephemera from tag from the Vintage Voyage. And that just tucks in there with that pretty little snippet. Just added some buttons there. All vintage button there. A door. And then there's Rose when Jack is down there in 3rd class and he's looking up at her on the 1st class level, and she's looking down at him like, "Don't look at me, you peasant." Coffee dyed Rose, get it? Some lace there, another little booklet with the Vintage Love Story paper. And it tucks there. Another little music note envelope. This is from the ephemera collection from Dreamz, etc. And it is coffee dyed, so on the back as well. And then this is also from Dreamz, etc. right here. And I just coffee dyed it, and then I laid it on a muffin tin. That's where I get the circles. This is another printable that I had in my stash, and I just filled it with a boarding pass. This is a lady that was actually on the ship as well, and then just a little journaling paper. And then behind here, this is from Vintage Love Story, and just another place to journal. Look at that gorgeous paper. So I knew I wanted to add this collection in with the Vintage Voyage, because to me, when I was creating this, I was thinking of it as that this book belonged to Rose, and this was telling her story, and she would jot her notes and thoughts and feelings down. And she was so artsy that that this is the kind of thing that she would have. So just a little snippet there, and a little clock charm. I think this is from the collection as well. This is a coffee dyed tin liner. Coffee dyed heart. And that is the first signature. So I added this down the center because I knew there had to be kind of a wide gap between each signature in order to fit these monster signatures in. So here I knew I wanted this beautiful picture. You know, there was the one with her arms spread out, but I love this one. And I just coffee dyed the zipper, laces. There's a little, I don't know, safety pin there. And doilies. So that is the first page. Then you open it up. You got this. This is from Dreamz, etc. I think this is too. And then these pullouts. This is from the ephemera. And then another one of these, information for passengers. And then another page from Vintage Love Story. Some buttons. All right, so this is where she's walking down the stairs after he was invited to dinner after he saved her life. And so I put her on a glassine bag, and then, you know, after he sees her like that, that's what he does. He kisses her hand. So this is the Captain's Table menu. This is the actual Captain's Table menu. And opens up like that. And then we have a picture of the captain, the actual captain, not the movie captain. So I thought that was kind of cool. Paper from the Vintage Voyage. Then here, more coffee dyed lace, snippets, and a rusty safety pin. And look at that. That's when they went down under the ship and they were dancing. You guys are going to know this is all the Dreamz, etc. Vintage Love Story. Then we have this one, and this says, I got air in my lungs, a few blank sheets of paper. I mean, I love waking up in the morning not knowing what's going to happen or who I'm going to meet, where I'm going to wind up. Just the other night, I was sleeping under a bridge, and now here I am on the grandest ship in the world, having champagne with you fine people. I figure life's a gift, and I don't intend on wasting it. You don't know what hand you're going to be dealt. You learn to take life as it comes at you, to make each day count. Jack Dawson, Titanic. So I forgot to ink this tag, but I did add this Titanic. I found this online. It says, he saved me in every way a person can be saved. And that was coffee dyed. And there they are dancing again. I made this side pull. Oop. Journaling spot. And then, you know, I couldn't remember. I didn't go back and watch the movie, but I couldn't remember if this was after that stuff or before that stuff. But anyway, then in here, looky, I put it in the pocket because it's so risque. So it goes in there. And then this gorgeous paper, and I put a rose applique. And then this is the center of the book. So center of the second signature. And these are from the ephemera from Dreamz, etc. And this is a coffee dyed tin liner. I added Wanderer and Brave, and I should have added Brave and then Wanderer, but oh my goodness, I didn't. So this is from Dreamz, etc. This is just something I found online. Dreamz, etc. And then this is them in the car. Oh, okay, that opens like that. I see. Beautiful Dreamz, etc. And then I have this quote in this pin down here, and there's a little charm that says love and then a rose. It says, winning that ticket, Rose, was the best thing that ever happened to me. It brought me to you. You must do me this honor, Rose. Promise me you'll survive, that you won't give up no matter what happens, no matter how hopeless. Promise me now, Rose, and never let go of that promise. Jack to Rose. And a place to tuck things. This would be a kind of a cool journal if you were going to like a Titanic museum and you could save memorabilia. So this pulls out, and this is that photo of them when they're running from the manservant. And it says love with a little heart charm tucks in there. And we have this pocket. I've wanted to use these envelopes for a long time. We got that little pull out. I've had them for years. I think this is from the collection. And then I had this little wood piece, and I just layered it on an applique. Beautiful Dreamz, etc. Little snippet. I think this is from the Vintage Voyage. And we have another little pocket. And in here, these are both from the ephemera collection. I am having so much fun that I am going to the flea market today to see what kind of goodies I can find to create more vintage projects. I love how this turned out. Okay, so that's we're done with our middle signature. Here is our third signature. And even though this is like one of the final pictures, I kind of wanted, as I did each signature, I wanted the cover to represent what that signature was about. So this one was about Rose, and then this one was about them, and this one is about the end. So I made this pretty little snippet. There's a little love charm there, and corner pieces, doilies. This is kind of cool. This is something I found online. And that opens up like that. And then this doily with the Titanic, whatever that's called. All right, and then there's them when they see the iceberg. That's when they're looking at the iceberg and it's crashing down onto the deck. Have this little heart, laces, this little applique of a man and a woman. This is not an applique, this is a cameo. This back here, just layered laces. Beautiful paper from Dreamz, etc. This one I did stamp. It says Vintage Rose. And then I added 2 of these. One says Adore, one says Cherish. That's a heart from Craft Fantastic. And this is something I found online. This is from the Olympic, which the Olympic is the ship that came and rescued people. And it just talks about where they found Titanic and how many people were alive. And this piece right here, this round piece, is from Dreamz, etc. This is Tim Holtz. All right, so on this page, I really want you to see. So on this page, I have the spoon and the fork, and there's a teacup, and this pretty dangle stuff. So the reason why that's important is because this is a photograph of the dining room. And I made it into a little booklet. So I wanted to add the fork and the spoon and the teacup to represent the dining room. All right, let's get back in frame. So this is just some other paper from my stash. Time and the lace glassine bag. This is from the Vintage Love Story. And, you know, I just did layering, doily, coffee dyed lace, and this heart, and then I broke the little charm off of the cameo. Some little snippets. Then here we have a picture of them in the water, you know, after the ship was sinking. Journaling spot. Then this is the actual, like the second in command on the ship. And I thought he was quite a handsome man, so I thought I would put that in there. I've got this snippet with another, like a metal compass. And then explore inside, because this is a pocket. Inside the pocket, we already saw that, but I just turned that into a booklet. And I used this kind of like a ledger looking paper because I thought it went good with the captain, second mate, or whatever. So remember, all these little booklets are sewn. And then over here we have them as the ship is actually finally going down. They're holding on, and he's telling her to hold her breath. We've got this little vintage charm of a letter. And this is from Vintage Love Story. That was kind of perfect to go with that photo. I'm not sorry this is so long. I was going to say it. I love projects that go on forever. Okay, so here I took a coffee dyed tin liner and I turned it into a slide spot. And this is just another ephemera I found online. This tag. I added some laces here. And then, you know, there was a lot of music playing. I can't remember if there was a harp, but I added the harp, and then I stamped that little mirror, excuse me. Oh, and on the other side of this tag, it's kind of funny. So it says heart on this side, and you can see XO on that side. XOXO. That's for you, Linda. Again, I added this lace down the center to cover up my not so perfect stitching. And then I wrapped this doily around this glassine bag. Layered a couple of flower appliques, and look at this gorgeous centerpiece. And that is just something I had in my stash. Titanic sinks, and oh, it opens like that. A little snippet, moment. And then I just, it's funny, I'm going to tell you a story about these two doilies. I decided one day, wow, because sometimes I like to just boil cinnamon sticks to make the house smell nice. And I thought, wow, I wonder if that'll stand the doilies. Well, it didn't really, like, do it like, it kind of, can you see? There's like pieces of cinnamon on it, but it smells really good. So I got another little bag to tuck stuff in, and you can see the doily in there. I just love it when the paper gets like that. It looks so vintage. Okay, we got a pocket here. This is from Dreamz, etc. Little tags. Noted, the heart. On this one, I have a shoe stamped at the bottom. And I have a little vintage sewing machine. Then here, this is a photo of her after, when she goes on with her life after, you know, after the ship sinks and she learns how to fly a plane. And this is a little booklet. You can see the sewing there. Not too bad on these little small booklets. And then this is Tim Holtz, and just some layered lace and trim. Another glassine bag with a pull-out from the Vintage Love Story collection. And this pretty, this is something somebody gifted me a long, long time ago. And then here in the very back, I made some snippets, and this was a little fabric bag. I layered the lace, and I have the keyhole. This has a vintage clock, vintage scissors, and a vintage teacup on it. And inside is a rose scented sachet. So we started out with the word rose, and I told you I got that off of a little sachet packet. Well, I put all that rose, well, not all of it, but I put some of that rose fragrance inside here. And as I'm patting it, I can smell that aroma of rose fragrance. And I just love it because it's so perfect. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Yes, this is for sale. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like to quote prices in video. If you're interested in this, my email is in the description box down below. I hope you will head over to Dreamz, etc. and check out all the beautiful digital kits she has available. And I will link you directly to the Etsy store, which does carry the Vintage Voyage. So thanks so much for watching. Please, please let me know what you think of this. I know it's huge and roly-poly, and I know a lot of you love that type of style. My girls at work were like, oh, what do you do with it? I'm like, it's for journaling. And they're like, oh, it's so round. But for those of us that love these types of things, I hope you enjoyed it. All right. Happy scrappy day. Bye.